How are you all doing today? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I want to share, as we wrap the year up, I want to share 5 things that every parent of teens should avoid in the coming year, 2023. And what's the first thing? The first thing I would say is yelling at our teens. Yelling at our teens comes at a great cost that many of us don't realize until it's too late. It's really important that we avoid yelling at all costs. There are many things that may trigger us to yell at our teenagers, but I would encourage you to make it a goal this year not to yell at your children, because the cost of yelling, it's the pain is real. The pain of the disconnection, the pain of the consequences, the pain of the effects of yelling are very painful. So that's what I would suggest that we avoid in the year 2023. The second thing I've got here is criticizing our teenagers when they've made mistakes. That's one thing that we should avoid in 2023. And why do I say this? I say this because criticizing them about the mistakes prevents them from learning from those mistakes. You see, now that we're all grown up, we hear the words, we hear the phrases, oh, we learn from our mistakes, we do this from our mistakes, we grow from our mistakes. When we were growing up, we never heard that. We were shamed for our mistakes. We were criticized for our mistakes. And so I encourage us as parents to avoid criticizing our children, because a lot of times that is something that we've picked up from childhood. Because when mistakes were made, we were criticized, we were yelled on, we were yelled at, So we need to avoid doing that in 2023. And a lot of these things that I'm sharing about avoiding is so that we are able to build a better relationship with our teenagers. The third stuff I've got here, of avoiding in 2023, is avoid bringing up the past mistakes that they've done. You see, a lot of teenagers tell me that it's hard for their parents to let go of their past mistakes. They are themselves, as teenagers, are trying to let go of their past mistakes, but parents keep bringing it back up. And it's really, really difficult for teenagers to be able to separate those mistakes from their identity. The more we keep on bringing up their mistakes, the more they keep on looking at their mistakes as part of their identity. And the harder it is to avoid those mistakes in the past, or to even learn from those mistakes. So it's really important that we avoid bringing up the mistakes, even if our teenagers do something similar to what they did in the past, something close to what they did in the past, or they do something that we then say, oh, don't do it because last time you did it this step. We've got to avoid that. Please, that's my biggest encouragement among everything else. We have to avoid bringing up the mistakes of the past. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4 is we have got to learn how to listen to their side of the story. A lot of times teenagers can probably get in trouble in school, probably get in trouble with their friends, or just get in trouble anyhow. And a lot of times when it's time for them to share their own side of the story, sometimes some of us as parents tend not to listen to them. We tend not to believe them because of something they did in the past. We tend not to believe them because the stuff that is happening is probably more consistent than we want it to be. So we tend not to believe them. But I would encourage every parent of teenagers to be on the lookout to listen to their side of the story, even if they were the ones that did the wrong, even if they were the ones that made the mistakes. Listen to their side of the story, so that you have enough in you to be able to help and support them. A lot of times, because we don't listen to their side of the story, our support, our help, it goes in one ear, it flies out from the other, because we're not addressing what we heard, because we didn't hear. So listening to their side of the story helps you hear them. It helps you hear their mistakes. It helps you hear what they lack. It helps you hear deeper than actually what they're sharing. And so then you can then give a wholesome advice rather than just giving a pat advice or an advice based on assumption you're making. So hearing their side of the story is something that I want us to do more and more of in the coming year. And the fifth point I've got here is avoid comparing them to their siblings or to their friends. This is something that breaks a lot of teenagers' hearts. This is something that crushes their self-esteem when we compare them to their siblings or to their friends. And I know a lot of times we do that sometimes to motivate them. Like, oh, can't you read like your brother? Can't you tidy up your room like your sister? Can't you do this like your friend? Why is your friend being the top in class? And what are you doing? You know, when we keep doing that, it breaks their hearts. It breaks them, literally. So let's avoid doing that. And again, a lot of these things that we're saying let's avoid are things that maybe when you were growing up, you grew up with these things and they were the norm back in the days. They shouldn't have been the norm, and they shouldn't be the norm in today's world. We need our teenagers to be wholesome. We need our teenagers to think right. We need our teenagers to have mental resilience, emotional resilience. We need our teenagers to be able to walk out there, be independent, and make better decisions. A lot of all these things that we want for our teenagers, they start with what we do and what we say to them at home. And that's why these 5 areas: avoid yelling at them, avoid criticizing them, avoid bringing up their past mistakes, and listen to them more, listen to their sides more, listen to their sides of the story, and avoid comparing them to their siblings, their cousins, their other families and friends. Avoid comparing them. And with these things, parents, we can parent our teenagers to the best of our abilities. We can do a better work in supporting them, in being there for them, and in connecting with them as well. Our relationship to them or with them matters so much. So let's focus more on that as we step into the new year. Happy New Year, parents.